So this guy, he knows nothing about music theory. This one, however, knows tons. Very different approaches, both great players. Which one's right? It doesn't really matter because they both actually use the same exact thing, scales, and it turns out they both approach them the same exact way. Yeah, so when I started playing guitar, I wanted to play solos. The guy that really inspired me to play was Joe Satriani. And then followed all the other typical metal hard rock bands, Metallica, Guns N' Roses. It was the mid-90s and I wanted to play guitar solos. So that's what I did. I just learned my favorite solos with guitar tabs. And eventually, I was exposed to the minor pentatonic scale. I thought it was a good one to start with because it was really easy to play and there were so many solos found within that unique scale. Now, while that scale was really cool and I got tons of mileage out of it, eventually I wanted a little more. I was after different types of sounds. So I grabbed a scale book. Terrible mistake because the book was filled with tons of scale diagrams and positions to memorize, and that's all I did. It was a good workout for my fingers, but I did not understand what I was doing. Eventually, I had memorized the full book. I was kind of like a walking musical encyclopedia. I can't really pronounce that word. But yeah, I knew all about the construction of the Dorian mode. I knew what Phrygian dominant meant. I could play the melodic minor scale all across the fretboard. But all that knowledge didn't help me play better. See, whenever I had to improvise, I would go back to what I knew, which was the minor pentatonic scale. I thought about this a long time. I decided to solve my problem by taking a few jazz guitar lessons. First lesson, the teacher asked me, all right, so you know the Dorian scale? Play me something in Dorian. And this is what I did. I just went up and down the position. He looked at me, and then he asked me to play something using the minor pentatonic scale. This is what I did. It was obvious that the way I had learned the minor pentatonic scale was very different from the way I had learned that Dorian scale and all the other scale for that matter. And the teacher told me, go back home. I don't want to see you until you take that Dorian mode, you play it up and down the fretboard, and you start making music with it. Spend time with it. And it was so obvious. How could I not have thought about that? So I went back home, grabbed my Live Ami 3 guitar, which you can find the link to in the description of this video, and I imagined that I was going to play something using that Dorian mode, but something that was already written. See, I pictured myself in front of an audience that had come to see me play that piece that they knew already and they really wanted. And that kind of put me in the right state of mind. What I played sounded really different from what I had expected. It was intentional. It was full of emotion, and it was definitely not playing that scale up and down the fretboard. And I kept doing this the whole week, and I discovered a few things that really helped me in the process. Let me show you. The first step is to know exactly which position you're going to use. Play that position a few times to kind of get it ingrained in your mind. Once you're comfortable with that, I want you to come up with a very simple melodic ideas with your voice. Maybe something like this. La da ba da dum. And then try to replicate that on the instrument. Pause. Listen to the silence and imagine what should come next. La da ba da dum. Doing it this way bypasses the urge your fingers have to take control. You should be in control of your fingers. I went back the following week and the teacher asked me to play something using the Dorian mode. Very different experience than the first lesson I had. Now that was my entryway to playing with more intent. And the teacher knew that all along. He knew that I was the type of guy who started with scales, and he led me in my own way towards discovering what that meant for me. Playing from within. It's one of the most interesting musical concepts I had ever seen, but I wasn't ready for it. That being said, if you've made it to this point in the video, you're probably ready for it. You can follow this free workshop, which will teach you about the music theory DNA and help you implement everything we talked about today. I'll meet you right there.